A little bit of ground. The aliens are up here. This is the next turn. And they don't have quite enough fuel, so they're collecting one a turn. They want to boost themselves up to here, just to have a full tank. The reason is, it's not easy to get out of Saturn's gravity field, and that kind of makes sense. Coming out of here, this is not a Hohmann pivot, I don't think. So I can slide over to here for free. But then I'm going to be paying 1, 2, 3, 4 burns to get to here, and then start following this line. To what, I don't know. But that looks, because that green line is there, I'm assuming that's the easiest way back to Earth, or towards Earth. There's another opportunity to try to use the Hohmann pivots. This one I can't get to easily. But down, because there's a break in the line here, this means it isn't a Hohmann pivot, it's just two lines that happen to be unable to be represented as proper vectors or whatever. There might be some other way to get down here into this one. I can't build anything here. I probably can't build anything here. These say they're Saturnian moonlets. I'm assuming they'll count as moons too. So I've got to kind of get moving towards Earth. And to do that effectively, well, I've got this big bonus. I don't necessarily have to go home ever. In fact, if I do, I think I'm kind of screwed. So my goal here, and this may be a short game if the Earthlings keep screwing up, is to get myself someplace. Now, to build a factory, I'm going to have to decommission my Robonaut and my refinery. That may mean I do have to get home, because they're produced in different types of stuff, C and V. If I end up getting a refinery that doesn't have a V on it, then I can probably combine them, or a Robonaut that has a V on it. I could combine them and build a factory somewhere that that I can replenish myself at as kind of a waypoint. But the key thing here is S's are what I need. I need to grab an S before I go to Earth. And in order to have an S, well, I need to be able to build the goods that I need to build more factories somewhere on my way. I can't just keep launching out of here. I got to get closer in there. Of course, with warfare capable, if I did build them, somewhere within Earth's reach and then left, Earth could go bombard them. Maybe successfully, maybe not. There are combat rules. I've never used them before. But anyway, the other thing is the Earthlings have managed to load up their rocket, and they're going to actually take a shot at this. Now, what I got to do is get these here, and let me set up my rocket, and I'll be back. My thrust for this thing's actually pretty good. It starts as a 3-1, which means for 1 burn of fuel each burn costs me only 1 fuel, and I've got up to 3. But the important thing is to get the thrust here high numerically, and you can see I did a job of that, because that'll allow me not only to move quicker, but also to cope with some things like the Van Allen belts. This doesn't help me, but what does is I have a +2 thrust here. That puts me to 5 thrust. I get another one off my beamed power. That puts me up to 6, but then I lose 1 because of all the fuel I have on board. So I've got a thrust of 5. Let's see what happens. 5. Oh, geez, I should have paid attention. Where am I going? I can't make any guarantees of this. So I've got to go through this whole process of trying to figure out what I want to build. I'm going to be decommissioning a refinery and a Robonaut. The Robonaut can be decommissioned at an S, effectively. Refinery's more of a problem. So I may have to go home and yeah, see, I've got a problem with this too, because I can't hit 2 places. I'm going to have to go home with the aliens as well to get another pack of equipment. So I'm looking for either S's or M's. And I kind of want to find my way out, heading out very far towards Saturn. Got a lot of S's here. This 5 thrust M. I think I have to be a bigger thruster. Shit. More I gotta look up. It's really hard because, you know, once you kind of internalize everything, if you play this a whole lot, you kind of get used to it, but it's really hard to figure out, hey, can I land there? Could I get there? Is this possible? It's like it's rocket science or something, right? Now, I made that joke the first time, but I mean, it really is. For a game, there's a lot of calculation, a lot of different things to balance, and I think that's appropriate, but it does make it very difficult if you haven't played it much. I see some nice opportunities running along the Ceres route with things like this and this. That, you know, it's unlikely I'll find something there, but if I do, it really helps me. And then once I get to Ceres itself, in that general area, there's good stuff. Now, I can't land at Ceres right yet. Not with the... I only have 5 thrust. And I could get it up to 6 if I burn some fuel. But unless I burn a lot of fuel and lose a lot of weight, I'm not going to be getting up... actually, no, I'm going to be in the -1 zone no matter what with this heavy rocket. So I'm not going to be landing on anything too fast. So let's give it a shot. So that's 1 burn, and then I go to here. Now my burns cost me 1 each for this guy. So I burn 1 fuel slot. And now I've got to check my thrust. My current thrust is 5. So I'm able to subtract 5 from the die roll. That means the worst radiation I'm going to get is 1. Everything's got at least a rad hardness of 1 on this ship. So I get through perfectly fine. Second burn. I don't take a turn, so I can just slide through here all fine. I'm just coasting along. Now, how many burns am I allowed total? I'm allowed 5 on this turn. So, it's time to take a home and pivot here. So that's 3rd burn. And now I can drop down and land for free. I'm sorry. I had to pay another burn for the HEO there. High eccentric orbit or whatever. Now I can make my landing for free because I've got enough thruster that it doesn't cost me any fuel to drop down there. Okay. Well, now I'm allowed to do something. Actually, given that I have a Robonaut here, do I want to land? I do, because I'm going to have to refuel. So I'm going to prospect now. What's up with prospecting? ISRU less than the site hydration. That's true. My ISRU is 2, the hydration's 1. Or, I'm sorry, my ISRU is 1, the hydration's 2. So I make a roll. If it's less than the site size, I get a claim there, and then I can start industrializing later. Well, it's not. There's nothing there, but that's okay. We're on our way. It's a nice refueling spot, and we'll go find something else. You know, there's another one here. La la la. And S is useful to us. And now we'll move on to the remaining players. When some things got kind of messed up, but hopefully it's okay. Had these covered. These are the guys most likely to go, but then this flew, so I have to put covers on everything, I guess, this time of year. So Green's got a fuel issue. It's his turn right here, and he's going to refuel. And you know, if you saw the other videos that I did, I'm sure I went into it. But he has this ISRU of 1. This has a fuel capacity of 2. He's able to collect 2 because you're able to collect, well, 3 minus 1. 1 more than the water capacity minus your ISRU. So we'll boost that up. It's going to take him a little while to collect fuel. Now, I believe that is his activity here. He doesn't get some kind of action back on Earth, which has always been something that kind of bothered me, although the colonization expansion kind of fixes that, but still, if this is your crew doing this, they're not doing something on Earth. So your colonists and stuff can do stuff. Thing about, and I'll keep playing it the way I have, but I've been screwing up. These guys, the black cards, don't count against your hand when you're bidding, so the aliens can buy whatever they like. They were never restricted by hand size. So, in a sense, Shimizu is the only way to even things out between them. I'll keep playing the way I am because I think the aliens have a pretty strong position in the game anyway. Hopefully I'll remember if I come back and discuss, my overall thoughts of the scenario that, yeah, I wasn't giving them all their advantages. I got to figure out what to do with orange here, though. Basically, they'd like to put something for bid, but the problem is they're going to have to pay a good deal for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So maybe they're better off just launching something. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That still leaves me with a decent amount of fuel. So yeah, I'm going to launch my rocket back up. Red has a ridiculously powerful rocket. All these black technologies. He's got a 15.1 thruster here. And then plus 1 more thrust here with this generator, except it's not hooked up, so it's not going to count. But what I want to do is I want to get to a C or V site. I've already kind of discussed this, and this is kind of tough. There are some nice C sites over here near Jupiter, but to get to Jupiter, I'm going to have to see how these aren't places where I can turn. So the only way to get through Jupiter is to go through the Io area, and there's going to be a radiation level, a Van Allen belt type analog there. And then alternatively down here I could take this Hohmann, run into here, and there's a bunch of C's here. That's kind of nice. That's not too far off a route that can get me kind of close to Earth. It's really hard to judge distances in this game. That's one of the things. Jupiter seems pretty far out, but I don't know how far out something like the Hygeia family is, which also has a lot of useful stuff. I don't see myself landing on these moons here. They're just too hard to get to. I've got to cut through all this crap to deal with them. So maybe as a last resort I would, but at this point they don't seem like a terribly good choice. This green line looks like it's going to take me fairly well towards Earth. That looks easier than coping with these, so that's what I'm going to go. And I have like 15 thrust minus 1 for this, so I have 14. That doesn't even sit on the chart. I don't know if I'm allowed to go above that. I couldn't find any restriction. So I'm going to start moving. Now I start here for free. This is where I boosted. And I'm just going to... These guys are kind of cheap. They only cost me a half each for these boosts. I can't do anything in Saturn. So that's a half. What's my easiest way in? 1. 1.5. 2. Uh-oh. I just hit an event. I don't remember how events work. That's going to trigger a time factor over on the sunspot thing. But it does more than that, I think. Oh no, 1 or more, yeah. Okay. If your rocket enters 1 or more, It's got to be after the move, but before operation. So where was I? I think I was at 2, 3, 4. I got another one. 5. Now, do I just want to slide down here? Or do I want to... I don't want to cut through all this radiation. I'm sure I'm fine on it. 6, I'm changing direction. No, 5.5. 6. Okay. So now I've spent 6 burns. So there goes 6 of my fuel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to be able to get that back pretty easily with our robotic, with our ISRU. I don't know if I terribly want to land anywhere. I'm looking for my ISRU. It's got a 0. I'm going to need to land somewhere to do water. So prospecting from space, which I could do, would be hard. So yeah, it wouldn't necessarily save me anything. So I'm going to land with that huge thruster. I can land for free. And now I'm going to take care of the event. And we shift here into a place where yellow comets take place. Now what's up with these? Special event is if the sun's panel. I've got to get an event for that to happen. So I'm going to roll on the event table now. And I get a 3, a glitch. The phasing player decommissions one of his cards that is in a stack without a crew. Well, I have a stack without a crew here. I would be able to fly home with this ship if this hadn't happened. But now I'm kind of questioning. I don't want to get rid of the refinery. I don't want to get rid of the Robonaut. What is the generator needed for? That's needed for the Robonaut, so I can't get rid of that. So I'm left with a radiator. And that's my big thruster needs all these radiators. So I'm pretty much stopped here. I'm not going to be able to keep my ship here. Could I rebuild it here? Are any of these cards C's? No, just the Robonaut, which I need. So I'm going to essentially decommission one of my radiators, and that means I am pretty much going to have to decommission my entire ship after I set up my factory. That's okay. I think there was a chance I would do that anyway. It's a matter of, do you want to boost it or not? Well, I'm not going to have that opportunity. And now, because this has moved into here, it's possible to move into comets that are in the yellow zone, so like this one. Before it was the blue zone, there were some blue comets around. So I'm going to prospect at this point, and I think on a 1 through 4 I succeed unless I have some special ability here. If I was on a D site, I would be okay. Let's see if I can find this. Okay, so I have successfully prospected. This is now claimed by me. Now, the problem is, if I don't leave something behind to defend it, and I can't really do that, someone can take it from me. I'll be creating a factory there, and that'll be able to perform some sort of defense right now. All right, so that got us through kind of the most exciting turn yet. Mark where I am, and I need a break after that much excitement. These guys just were pulling up water, right? Yeah. Where'd Orange go? They're launched everything. Why they... I don't know what they did this turn. I think I told you, but I don't remember. Well, green does a little bit more refueling, and now orange is in this position where they got 1 buck left after they fueled up their rocket. They've only got that thrust of 2. It's not good enough. Still not safe even with a 3, but basically the ESA is saying, give me a buck and I'll boost you. I'll give you an extra thruster point. You don't give me the buck, well, you got money, you can play with your rockets and such. But I may demand more next turn. Right now I'm taking your only buck, so you know, it's the best I'm gonna do, right? You take the Mars route, I'm cool with that. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna object to that. I think the two of us together need to work together, but I could really use that buck. I think they're gonna do it. And now we set them off. My boost is actually 3 right now. My thruster. So 1 boink. Now that 1, I think actually cost me a fuel, because I've got 1 fuel, but I've got to have because of this thing. Now I got my die roll here. My thrust is 3 at this point. So I roll a die, I subtract 3, I make it through fine. So now I'm allowed 2 more burns if I like. I wanted to follow this. 1, boink, 2. That's going to be an event possibility. We're burning low on fuel here. But now we get a bonus free thrust, which is going to get us, where do I want to go? I don't remember where I was going anymore. I think I was trying to get to Ceres, but maybe not. Damned if I remember, and this is the problem, you know, I step away and I can't remember a damn thing that I'm trying to do. So, I have a Robonaut that's a C and a refinery that's an S. Both of those are things that I'm going to lose wherever I go. Now, I would love to get to Phobos, but I just don't think I have the fuel to get out to Ceres. I don't know if I can get anywhere. Why was I heading this way? Oh, I was supposed to take the Mars route. That's what's wrong. All right, let's redo this instead of the Mars flyby, because I don't think I can make it. This is not the best way to Ceres by any means. So let's back this up. We spent 1 there. That would be here. And now we fly here. Let me count. 1, 2, doink, doink, 3. That's all I can burn. I hit to here and I can't get any more. I've got 1 more burn before I'm ready to land. Let's see if I did 3. I did my 3. So I think that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to try to land on Phobos. If I don't make it there, I got kind of real problems. I might be able to make it through Ceres, but if at the very least I can refuel at Phobos. That's important. It's going to be a slow refueling though. I don't have my crew because I have an ISRU of 2, which means I'm only going to get 1 fuel a turn from there. And that's really the same as collecting my income each turn. Alright, now I have my operation, and I'll take my income. Red's not able to do anything with their rocket itself, because after rocket movement is when we get to turn our what are we turning in here? We're turning in our refinery and Robonaut for a little factory cube here. Not allowed to refuel or anything else. Now, the problem is I choose my factory product. Well, choosing a factory product is flipping one of these over to black. My assumption for this scenario is that I'm allowed to produce in off-world areas as well as at home here, which is why I built on a C area, because after I get the C, and if I can find a V somewhere, there's one up here, a bunch over here, then I can work my way towards some place where I can build an S factory, also possibly in Jupiter itself, and then I can make my push for Earth, because at that point I'll be ahead of Victory Point. Of course, if there are any Earthling factories around there, I may have to attack them for the Victory Point value there. What was worth 5 victory points? Oh yeah. Right here, leaving an outpost there. So, you know, it's gonna be tough. This is gonna be a tough scenario to win for anyone. It's gonna be a matter of mistakes, I think, more than anything else. We managed a successful claim over here on Mjolnir, and that's an S site, which means they can rebuild their Robonaut there. They don't really need another refinery. Well, yeah, they don't need a refinery if they've got the only victory point. S's and this are victory points. So they could run up towards Saturn and see if they can hit Titan with the their rocket. And if they can get there and have the only S factory on the site, they win. What happens if they don't hit it, though? You know, what happens if they don't make it there? Because they don't have a refinery, so their ship heading out there isn't going to be good for anything else. I don't know. You know, they can always turn around if they see something bad starting to happen, or they can decommission and relaunch elsewhere. But as of right now, they're in kind of a lead, but it's a long-ass trip out to Saturn. There's no question there. All right, let's see whether or not the Shimizu can get what they want. And well, the Shimizu found a broken mine there, so no chances for them. And Red decommissioned their spaceship, throwing it back here. Now normally blacks wouldn't go back like this, but you got to kind of fudge the roles for this scenario. There's no question. So, you know, that's why I don't feel too badly about the, hey, I can't bid now that I have this whole pile here. I'm going to have to put them up here. It's kind of weird that I'm bidding against people over on Earth, but that's just the nature of things. So I'm going to have to restart over here. Now, I did all the work of getting the ship together, but I am going to have to come up with income from this. And that may take me a long time, and that's a problem. Because if these guys sail out there. However, this is the gimme. Orange could fly down here, drop a cube in there as an outpost with their Robonaut or whatever, and then say, haha, nobody can win now because I got 5 victory points. And that will force the ESA to turn around and go do something else. At least that's how I'm catching this. If I don't decommission my rocket with Red, I've moved through the others. They each grabbed a water, just, you know, refueling their positions on the with their rockets. But if I don't decommission the rocket, since I'm not sure about the rule about that anyway, I've got 3 cards in my hand. I can spend 1 and get myself a pile of new cards. Either one of these gives me a generator. I'm just going to get 2 cards for that. But I don't know what I'm going to get and what I need. I kind of like my Robonaut. He's pretty cool. So I'm going to go for the refinery. This is going to give me, you know, quicker cash, basically, because I can turn cards in. However, I might find that, gee, I really like these, you know, in which case I may not want to sell them. So, maybe I screwed up, maybe I didn't. I sat around here collecting fuel instead of industrializing. Then I discarded my, or decommissioned my cards. But I get to turn this one into a product. Now, of course, I can unproduct it if I wish at some point, but that takes an action. But now I have kind of an interesting little Robonaut here. He gives me a bigger thruster, but not as cheap a one. It's hard to tell. You can figure out what's going on here. I'd lose a point of mass, which means I'd slide up to here in my position. That doesn't really gain me much. I think I gain a point of fuel on my current position by this, but I'm not quite sure because it doesn't look like I should. I think it's just slanted funny. Anyway. Ooh, but this has a dirt. I can pick up stuff anywhere. I definitely want to build this thing. So I'm going to actually spend my next action to build this Robonaut here. The question, of course, is, do I want to carry this sucker around? It's a little cheaper to do thrusts. That could be a big deal. 2-point thrusts is on the high end of things for me. If I'm not going to have a ton of fuel, I don't want that. I can't do anything about my refinery though. So if I want to build another base, I need to go back home and get my refinery. And that's not something I'm allowed to do here. Orange is going to finish up their fuel. Red's been playing around. Now I don't have enough to... These are... let me put my rocket back here. It's not really doing anything. It's not able to fly because it doesn't have enough radiator. Right. I don't have... Wait a minute. I don't have the right stuff here. I decommissioned the Robonaut and the refinery, and one of my radiators is decommissioned, not this. Yeah, so I need like 5 radiators here, and I can't do that. Officially, I don't know what this is conformed to. It's a C. I could build a Robonaut there, but nothing else. So I'm not able to fly with this sucker. In which case, well, do I have... I do have a little bit of a heat reducer here, but that still doesn't push me over. If I was willing to spend more fuel, I could fly around without as much radiator, which is kind of cool. I don't have enough cash to send everything up, though, again. I have enough for this, but not for this stuff. So I'm going to have to do another purchase to try to cycle my money, and I can get it for 1 because these guys are just not generating money. They're busy doing stuff with their rockets, not moving, but gathering fuel or building industrial sites or whatnot. Okay, I'm not too worried about using this thruster. I like this one better. I forgot I have the bonus here, plus my my beamed power, which I don't have to have this guy with it. He can beam to anything on the map. Okay, so green is starting to hunt their way up here. They went through a couple of burns. They landed here mainly to grab water, and they're going to do that. I'm able to grab 3 water for the turn. I could explore the site, but I'm not terribly interested in claiming it. It's not really worth anything to me at this point. I don't have the ability to build factories, and things can be claim jumped at will. The big reason was to refuel. I did get an event, however, and we moved into here. So all radiation belts right now are at +2, which could be a problem if somebody wants to go back to Earth or leave Earth. That's just an effect of this side of things. But also there was a solar flare event. The special event took place. Luckily, no one's off a site. Everybody's sitting on a site hex, which means no one's affected by the solar flare. What would happen if otherwise is a die would be rolled, and compared to your radiation hardness. And, you know, it could mean a lot of, especially these white units are going to get crushed. Now, this is where these guys are really potent. If they get into combat, they have really high rad hardness on them. And combat is going to be essentially a comparison of the laser beam against a particular component. And the laser beam will get a die roll against your rad hardness. Or if you got cool missiles like this, you roll 2 dice against all their rad hardness. So you could wreck a ship very easily with that. For forts, well, not just forts, but any factory site, they have a rad hardness of 8, which is quite potent. They're dug in or whatever, but all they have is a laser beam coming back. So there's a chance that somebody with missiles can bombard a fort out of space. I think you just get 1 shot, though. I may be mistaken about that. Orange is heading for the rabbit hole. Yeah, they triggered another event. Got a solar flare. They got lucky. It was only a 2 on the die roll, which their ship can actually handle. All the rad hardnesses are 2 or better. So they got away kind of lucky there. I'm not sure I can make it here and back out. And there's not a lot of water kicking around. Ooh, the Mercury North Pole. Yeah, good luck with that, though, right? I can't land there. There's no air brake, obviously. So I guess you know, this may be a send this here. It's only I can decommission it. I don't have to worry about the crew there. So I don't have a crew there. So it's not a terrible thing. I kind of don't like losing a fairly decent Robonaut, but that's okay. I'm really worried about green getting a win just by stabbing up. Now, obviously, if I do set up there, green's going to be pissed at me. More importantly, though, they're going to turn around and do something else, which may involve shooting this. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Red, still playing with their economics, selling the cards they've been picking up cheap. Nobody else is producing money right now. And this is kind of one of the interesting things. So in the normal game, because money changes hands and everything, the less number of players you have, though, and that applies here definitely with it's only 3, sort of the more opportunity you have to generate lots of money off supports. Now in the base game, you don't, the very basic game, you don't get supports. So picking up a card is only worth 3, and it's kind of iffy. It's not really worth all that much. But here, you can actually accelerate your income significantly by grabbing cards that have a lot of supports with them. So that's kind of cool. And green pushed their way forward to another one. In part, they did this so that they wouldn't change the event. They were able to find a path. An expensive path, mind you, but they had the fuel barely to another planet that's getting closer and into more interesting stuff. Do they really want to be out here? I don't know. I'm kind of hoping orange dies, because if orange dies, I want to run to Titan as much as I can and see if I can beat red's ability to launch a spaceship. I don't think that's the case. Red has a decent amount of cash right now. They could launch one over Titan. But then they don't have any fuel on it, and they're going to need to fight me before I get here. I think that's just I think this is my victory condition, not actually landing on Titan. So what orange is going to do, though, is they have this thruster instead, and they have it fully powered. So it's expensive as hell to use, but that's going to jerk my power up to 5, make it 4, and it only costs me 2 fuel per. So I could swap in here for 2 fuel. I have that much fuel. I wouldn't have to do this. What I'm going to do is move into this space and see what happens. Now, with my thruster at 4, I get a -4 to the die roll, but there's a +2 because of the sunspots, which is why I kind of didn't want to do this. So what did I say? I'm at -2, I guess. I get a 2. I'm safe with that. I'm not decommissioned. I'm going to spend my 2 power on the Holman. Yeah, because otherwise I would have had to do it here. And fly into there. Now, I don't remember. I think I can make an outpost without it being in action, but I have to look that up. But one way or another, we're getting an outpost here that changes the whole dynamics. I got 5 victory points, nobody else does. I'm going to leave my poor Robonaut there and head back home, hoping to build things up. Green did some refueling and exploration here. Orange decommissioned their rocket and have been playing economically. Red was able to boost their rocket, refuel it, and they're ready to move right now, actually. And they've got a huge amount of thrust, if you remember, and a decent amount of power here. Their thrust is, just don't even, it's above 15, right? So what I'm looking at is just shooting the green ship here. So let's see if I can get there, first of all. That's free. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want to go there. 5, because we got to turn direction. And we fly to here, all the way out here. 6. And then we can take this to here. 7. Run to here. Now, did we run through? I don't think we ran through a single event there. So we're at 7 here. Fuel spent. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now, we clearly have enough to land, but I don't remember. I think I have to actually drop on him to conduct combat. Combat's an action, is it not? I'm not sure. It may be, it may not be. Per 8.3F. At the end of your movement. Okay. Has to be cohabitating. So I'm going to land down here and we're going to fight. I think we get 1 round of combat here. And then we get another round if they try to leave. Okay. So now for the combat itself, first thing is the defender gets to attack first with his ray guns. And he does not have any. All he has is this missile. And now I got a ray gun. I do not have a missile. So in a sense, I'm actually kind of risking things because I'm not as combat capable. My ray gun, 8.4A, I choose a card in the defending stack or a factory cube, and I can decommission it if I can roll higher than its rad hardness. Now, there's a lot of decent rad hardness here. I think I'm gonna go after these radiators because the ship won't work without them, and I can always reboost if mine gets shot down. It might be kind of a cool. Oh, this I could go after the Robonaut, but I need a 6 for the Robonaut. I only need a 4 for that. Yeah, I'm gonna go after the radiators, just trying to knock him down. I do not get a hit I needed a 5 actually, not a 4. I said a 4. Okay, well the missile gets to come back, and I'm gonna have to grab some, at least one extra die here. And now we get to see his firing back. And in a way, I'm really kind of just testing out the game in some ways. This may not be the best move. Although it's tough to figure out what the hell to do with these guys. Because the idea of trying to position a forward stance doesn't make a lot of sense. Now that this is here, I may not have enough chips and factory cubes to have victory points. So now I have to go take that. In which case I have to win fights against everything. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at some decent rad hardnesses. They're all, this is only a 3. Yeah, our radiator's kind of weak. Okay, so we got a 7. That's right, 2 dice. Yeah, against each card. Alright, it looks like we decommissioned everything, really. Now, if I had a buggy or something, I can get rid of this, for the ESA, I could have used that as a final attack, except I destroyed their ship, in order to actually pirate them and steal a card from them. But that didn't happen. We had a victorious combat without much trouble. And obviously we see that missiles are scary, especially ones I can't shoot out beforehand. Oh well. Onward. Yeah, no, things are kind of weird. This was actually able to fly all the way back from here in one trip. Cutting this way, catch the Luna to give me enough boost to get through here. Then I actually ran completely out of fuel here. I rolled fairly low here, so I made it through. I forgot to take my effect, though. Blue, that's an election year. You know, I don't think that can have an effect on this. Election's going to change the government type, and this is forced to be at war as far as I'm concerned. You can't try to change the government here, because it's not just the Earth in hand, and it's not really covered in the scenario. I would have liked to have gotten somewhere else close to this location that has water, but I can't land on Luna, and I couldn't make it out here. This didn't really get me close enough. I could have gotten back here, refueled, and maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, boink, 5. But then I'd be out. I'd be out of fuel. And what I'm hoping is that I can make it down somehow using fuel from the Earth. Unfortunately, I don't have much fuel in orbit right now. I only have 1. And Orange is like, whoa, I'm not giving you any money for anything right now because you're targeting this. And this becomes kind of the interesting situation with this one. So Green just has to destroy this, but if they do that and then wander off, Orange can come in and drop another Robonaut down there. Whereas if they drop the Robonaut, they're no longer very powerful in combat. And I really ought to consider this sucker, because this is a dirt powered thing, so I can actually pull dirt in. I didn't need to go to a water planet. Crap. Well, let me redo that, because I would like to get myself into a position where I'm in striking distance of this. Instead, we were able to make a landing here barely, and then take a full action just to the action right after the movement just to refuel. I think I've got enough fuel. I don't want to be up in here because that'll slow my rocket down, which will make it harder to get through the belts, and I've already accounted for that and rolled the die, which, whatever it was, the election isn't going to happen here. So now I'm actually in fairly close range of being able to hit this, and I think I'll be able to get out again. I'm not sure. Let's take a look. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fuel, I think. I think this keeps going 1, and then through here 2. 3, 4. So yeah, I'll be able to get back to Earth, which I kind of need to do because I got to boost this refinery up there. It's going to be tough, though. You know, I don't know how to keep Orange from dropping something here. They're not, you know, willing to just let me win the game. And I'm not willing to just let them win the game. And there's no way of really knocking someone out. So I'm really not completely sure. It's very hard to hurt someone. I mean, you can decommission their whole damn stack, but if they've collected up any cash here in reserves, they can turn it, you know, around and launch it right over again. And this is just very easy to hit for the Earth side. For Titan, the aliens, well, once they hit it, they're ready to strike. The problem is you can't just move from here out to Titan real quick or anything like that. And even if I could, I wouldn't be armed anymore without the Robonaut. So, I don't know. Okay, Green's slipped in there, and with their power, they have no problem getting through the radiation belts. And they're going to attack this, essentially the Robonaut that's there. Unfortunately for them, they have no first strike beam weapons, so the Robonaut gets to fire first, and that's going to be a 2-dice attack against everything on them. We'll see. They may end up just completely decommissioned going up against a missile base like this. Oh yeah, everything's gone. Wham. Well, that'll teach you. Yeah, it's tough to take out a missile base, I guess. And this having missiles makes a lot more sense in terms of a possible attack on the Earth. If it were just a beam weapon or something, it wouldn't make sense. I didn't understand why a Robonaut was a big deal. It's because they're armed. The missile one particularly makes sense as a threat to Earth. I don't know how much of a threat it is to Titan in terms of giving extra victory points, but in terms of controlling the Earth area, this might be a particularly good place to launch attacks from. It's not a terribly easy way to get into the Earth orbit, though. So it's not horrible. It's just you've got a couple of burns, so it's not like, you know, stationing it up off the moon or something might be. Of course, the moon's a 1-point base. All right, and everybody else is working on launching their rockets. Now Green's down to that too. I may have to give this one up just because I have the fear it's going to end up in a stalemate situation in which nobody can really win. The distances are too great between... So Titan can win, I think, because they can position themselves here and then attack Earth. I'm not sure the Earth players have any chance of winning because either one of them. If they could somehow say, oh yeah, you know, I guess if they could work out a tied victory point total, they could get away with it. But I could not imagine them winning unless they decide that losing to the aliens is worse than losing to each other. And there I am using the term lose the way so many people use it, and I kind of object to in a lot of ways. But yeah, you know, it's part of the tradition, and I don't see there being a coming in second in this particularly. I don't think this scenario makes a lot of sense. So the only thing I think the Earth players can do is learn to cooperate and each have 5 victory points. And that's what they're kind of coming down to now is, look, I'll keep this so that green can't just grab that, or so that red can't just grab that. And green and orange will work together to try to each get 5. The problem is the guy who's coming in here, he might be able to grab an extra S if he can slip in there close. But it's probably not worth it because red can build up a weapon, a fairly capable combat platform. Okay. It's pretty obvious to me almost everyone's in a rebuilding phase. Shimizu is almost ready to launch something. Now, if they could get to Titan, they win at this point. The problem is they have this crappy ass little 3 thruster. And the only thing up here isn't too much better. So I've been, you know, just selling some things. But to tell you the truth, I probably need to pick up some new stuff. I don't think I have a Robonaut, for example. I'm going to need to pick up a Robonaut. This isn't a terribly good one. I like my old one better. So I think I'm going to be actually hoping to exchange cards to get a better set towards actually having a shot at winning. Right now, though, I needed some more cash. I didn't have enough anyway, so I'm kind of fiddling around with that. I don't actually need a Robonaut if I could slip in quickly enough to beat him launching something. I don't think I can get there that fast, though. It's not like I'm going to have this big 15 thrust. Now, this guy's thruster was able to get him there pretty quickly, but he has some bonuses. He has a 3, he has this +2 reactor, he has this +1. He's got a lot of advantages to get him moving quickly. So if I had his stuff, I would have a feeling that I could move forward, but I don't. What I have is pretty much crap, and you know, I may be just having to work with the green player for a tie if we can. But that's going to be a longer game. Anyway, no matter what has to happen, these guys are going to be in a position of retrenchment trying to get their rockets launched. So this seems like a good time to load up.